The line is an ambitious megacity planned by Saudi Arabia as part of the broader NEOM project. Officially unveiled in 2021, the line is designed to stretch over 170 kilometers in a straight line across the desert, with 2 parallel skyscrapers housing up to 9 million people. The concept behind the city is groundbreaking. No cars, no pollution, and a radically new form of urban living. The line appears to be it promises ultra-modern infrastructure, cutting-edge technologies, and a lifestyle that blends sustainability with futuristic innovation. On paper, utopian dream. However, the reality of such a monumental project is far from straightforward. Despite the initial hype, there are numerous challenges that threaten the success of the line, many of which are already apparent. From astronomical costs to practical design flaws, social unrest, and technological uncertainty, the line may never live up to its promises. Let's dive into why this megacity could face a multitude of failures. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss more deep dives into futuristic projects, science, and groundbreaking ideas. Now, let's get into it. When the line was first announced, its estimated cost was around $500 billion. However, as the project has progressed, that number has ballooned to an estimated $2 trillion. This significant increase in costs has raised alarm bells, not only within Saudi Arabia, but also among international investors. To put this into perspective, the entire GDP of Saudi Arabia is just under $1 trillion, meaning the project would require more money than the country produces in an entire year. This raises the question, where is the money going to come from? The financing of such a massive project involves multiple stakeholders, and while Saudi Arabia has significant oil wealth, there are challenges in sustaining this level of investment, especially when oil prices fluctuate and global markets shift. Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 plan, which includes diversifying the economy and reducing dependency on oil, is a noble initiative. However, with the line's funding primarily tied to oil revenues and the kingdom's ability to borrow, the financial viability of the line is highly questionable. Moreover, the long-term economic returns of such a project are far from clear. While the city is touted to bring economic benefits through technological innovations, renewable energy, and tourism, these projections are speculative at best. The sheer cost and scale of the project mean that it could take decades, or even longer, to realize any return on investment. This prolonged timeline introduces even more financial uncertainty. The kingdom is also facing internal pressure. Budget constraints and delays in other major infrastructure projects have already pushed the government to reconsider certain aspects of the line. Scaling back the vision or changing plans could impact the overall quality of the city and ultimately make it less attractive to potential residents. The next problem lies in the very design of the city. The line promises to be a linear city with all essential services and amenities connected by a straight line. But this idea has been heavily criticized by urban planners. The concept sounds impressive in theory, but it has serious practicality issues. The spread-out nature of the city could create transportation bottlenecks and inefficiencies, making day-to-day life more difficult than expected. Instead of easing congestion, its design could exacerbate it. In traditional urban planning, cities are designed in a grid-like pattern that allows easy access to different areas, with a logical flow of traffic and services. A linear design, by contrast, forces everything to be built along a long, narrow stretch of land. This could make it difficult for people to get from one end of the city to the other, especially when distances are so vast. The idea of a city with no cars is alluring, but the reality of traveling long distances in a train or using alternative modes of transport may not be as efficient as promised. Additionally, if the line is to be a fully self-sustaining city, its infrastructure would need to include everything from water and power generation to healthcare and education. Distributing these services across such a long distance would require an immense amount of resources and coordination. The challenge of creating an infrastructure that spans across 170 kilometers and serves millions of people raises doubts about the practicality of such an undertaking. The logistics of providing these services at a level of quality comparable to other cities is also in question. Furthermore, the line is not free from criticism on the environmental and social fronts. Construction is set to occur in the desert, disrupting delicate ecosystems, and the displacement of local communities has led to protests. The Huaytit tribe, one of the indigenous groups, has reported forced evictions to make room for the project. These actions have sparked international condemnation, raising concerns about the human cost of this megacity. The environmental impact of the line cannot be understated. Despite the promises of sustainability and clean energy, large-scale construction in a desert environment would put pressure on fragile ecosystems. The desert, while seemingly barren, is home to various plant and animal species that could be affected by such massive development. Moreover, the water scarcity in the region could lead to further challenges in maintaining the city's growth and sustainability. It is unclear how the line plans to balance the needs of a modern megacity with the preservation of its natural surroundings. Additionally, the forced relocation of indigenous communities raises serious ethical concerns. The Huaytit tribe has been living in the region for generations, and their displacement has led to protests and violent clashes with authorities. The social and political ramifications of such actions are significant, and the international community has taken notice. Human rights organizations have voiced concerns about the treatment of these communities and the lack of consultation with local populations before undertaking such a massive project. Additionally, the reliance on futuristic technologies such as high-speed trains and renewable energy systems is a bold gamble. While these technologies sound promising, their real-world application at such a large scale will be far more complex and costly than anticipated. The line is dependent on innovations that may not be ready for mass implementation, making the project's technological feasibility questionable. The technologies involved in the line are revolutionary, but their large-scale implementation in a desert environment may not be as simple as it sounds. For instance, the city's transportation network is supposed to rely heavily on high-speed trains. However, building such a system across 170 kilometers of desert is a logistical challenge that involves advanced engineering, significant investment, and a host of potential issues. The same goes for renewable energy systems. While solar and wind power are abundant in the region, harnessing that energy efficiently to power a city of 9 million people and another monumental task. The project's leadership has also faced internal struggles. The CEO of NEOM, the company behind the line, was dismissed after budget and scheduling issues arose, signaling instability and potential delays. These management issues could derail the project even further, especially when it requires coordinated effort and substantial investments. The rapid turnover of leadership within the arm only adds to concerns about the project's stability. The leadership crisis points to a lack of clear vision or poor decision-making that could undermine the execution of the line. The city is being pitched as the future of urban living, but the constant management changes make it hard to see how this ambitious idea can be brought to fruition. Finally, the scale of the project is simply staggering. The line is a multi-decade, multi-trillion-dollar venture that requires flawless execution. With so many challenges and uncertainties, it's hard to imagine how it will meet its ambitious goals, especially when historical megacities with far more modest aspirations have struggled to succeed. The sheer scale of the line poses a fundamental issue. Can any single project, no matter how well planned, overcome the numerous challenges it will face over decades? The difficulties of such a massive undertaking are enormous, and history has shown that the larger and more complex a project becomes, the greater the chances it will fail or face substantial delays. In conclusion, while the line promises a visionary future, The financial, practical, environmental, technological, and management challenges it faces may be too much for any project to overcome. As bold as this dream is, it may be an expensive lesson in how difficult it is to build a city for the future when the present is so uncertain. Subscribe for more insights into the biggest projects shaping our world today.